Thank you, Rosa, and we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. Again, I'm Sujin Kim, and I'll ask Amy to start off with our presentation, and I'll continue. Alrighty.
So everyone, for today, we would like to accomplish some goals for the meeting. We wanted to make sure at the end of the meeting, we go over the ESL and the math sequence so you know where you are, how long it's going to take you to get through your English sequence, your math sequence. We're going to go over the general education classes that you all need to take. So in the US, no matter what major you choose, you still have to take some general education courses, and we're going to go over those with you. And then we're going to talk a little bit about how to transfer and graduate from Pasadena City College, what the requirements are. And then we're going to provide you with a list of fall classes so that you know what classes you are expected to register. We give you a lot of choices, and from the choice list, you can select the courses that you would like to take, and then show you how to register. So as an international student at PCC, there are some requirements that you need to meet. So for example, in the fall semester and the spring semester, you need to be in full-time. Full-time at PCC means 12 units. 12 units typically means 4 classes per week. And for those of you who are overseas and you're not able to come in person for the fall semester, we recommended that you take 6 units, 2 classes. For those of you who are able to be here in person in the US, then 12 units would be required for all new international students. You're going to start off either with ESL classes or English classes, depending on whether English is your first language, or if you have attended high school, international high school in your country, or if you attended high school in the US, then you could take the regular English course. If not, then you would take English as a second language to start off with. And we would recommend that in your first year, so it's either fall semester or spring semester, that you take a Counting 10 course or a College 1 course. That's part of the requirement if you join Pathways, and we can explain a little bit about Pathways later on. So Counting 10 is basically a 1-unit course versus College 1 is a 3-unit course, and that's part of your 12 units, and it's an introduction to college course that we recommend that all new students take in the first year. So if you don't want to take it the first semester, then be sure to take it the second semester. So as international students, I just mentioned that you all need to take 12 units if you're going to be here physically in person. However, there are some exceptions to the rule. So if you are in your first year, for example, and you find that after you register for 12 units, one of the classes is too difficult, you're basically feeling that you're not doing well in the class, you're in the wrong class, it's too difficult, you're not familiar with the way the professor teaches, you can speak with one of us, one of the international counselors, and there are actually 4 of us. So Sujin and I are the 2 international counselors. There are 2 more international counselors. So after you speak with us, you can request for us to sign a reduced course load form so that you can take less than 12 units for 1 semester. So during the time that you're at PCC, you have that one chance to go below 12 units due to academic difficulty as a reason. Another reason you can drop below 12 units is if this is your final semester and you're graduating. Let's say you only need 2 classes in order to graduate, then that will be the final semester that you can take below 12 units. A third reason you can go below 12 units is medical reason. Let's say you get really sick, or you have anxiety or depression, or you just have some illness that is prolonged that prevent you from doing well in school. After you meet with a psychologist or a medical doctor, you can request the doctor to sign off for you to take less than 12 units. So again, it's the academic difficulty reason, class is too difficult, or final semester, or medical reason that you could go below 12 units. But make sure you meet with us first, get the permission so that we then refer you to the International Student Center as a second step so that we can properly allow you to go below 12 units. So in other words, don't just stop attending classes. Meet with us first, follow the proper steps so that we can properly approve for you to take below 12 units. Okay, so in PCC, we have 4 terms. Only the fall and spring semesters are required for international students. So if you would like to attend winter and summer, that's perfectly fine. It's just that you're not required to attend school 4 times a year. You only require fall and spring. And typically for the fall semester, we begin in August. And in this case, we begin on August 24th. That's the first day of fall semester, and it ends in the middle of December. So typically, a fall semester is between August to December for 16 weeks. Okay. After that, we have winter, and you see that winter is optional. So we begin in January until mid-February. It's a very fast track, short intersession for 6 weeks. Typically, students take 1 to 2 classes if they want to in the winter term. Then comes back to the spring semester that will begin in February until middle of June. And that is for 6 weeks as well. And typically students take 4 to 5 classes in the spring semester as well as the fall semester. Then comes summer. Again, summer is optional. Summer begins June to August. Right now, we're in the summer intersession, and summer also allows you to take between 1 to 2 classes, although it's optional for international students. If you want to finish faster, to get through all the courses and graduate faster, or to transfer sooner, then you would go to school 4 times a year. But if you want to take a break, you can go home. You could just take a break. A lot of students take a break during winter and summertime, and that's perfectly fine as well. So this is the slide you might want to take a picture. So take a picture of the screenshot. This tells you the ESL sequence. So for those of you, English is your second language, and you need to take the ESL assessment because you need to get through the ESL classes in order to get to the top, which is English 1A. That's what the university requires. That's what you would need to get to eventually. So the first level is ESL 420, and you can see that at the lower left-hand corner in the rectangular box. So first level is ESL 420, then the second level is 422, third level 122, and then the fourth level is 33A, fifth level 33B. So in other words, PCC has 5 ESL levels, and then the courses that are corresponding to those levels at the bottom, those are the supplemental instructions. Those are courses like reading, speaking and listening, pronunciation, vocabulary, and grammar. Those are optional. However, those are highly recommended if you took the assessment and you are at level 1, 2, or 3 ESL, then we recommend that you take more ESL courses so that you could help build a stronger English foundation before you get to level 4. When it gets to level 4, in this case, it's ESL 33A. It doesn't have to be so many ESL courses. At level 4, you could start taking other general subjects like the English, I'm sorry, not like the general education courses like the biology, history, music appreciation, or courses in your major like business or accounting. At level 4 is when the courses that you take will start counted towards graduation and counted towards transfer. So the university will count level 4, but not level 1, 2, or 3. Okay, so in order for you to graduate or to transfer to a university, you need to accumulate 60 units. The ESL 33A is 4 units. ESL 33B is 4 units. So that 8 units will count towards the 80 units that you need. After you finish ESL 33B, that's the highest level ESL, then the next level you go to is English 1A. Okay. So for those of you who might have missed it earlier, I asked all of you to take a screenshot of this page. It's helpful for you to know this. Take a screenshot of this, because that way you can refer back to it later on when you find out that you're assessed at the ESL 122 level. You might wonder, what is 122? When you look at this chart, then you, oh, okay, 122 means level 3. And when I get to level 3, I should take the ESL 122, which will cover grammar and writing. And remember, I mentioned earlier, level 1, level 2, level 3, take more ESL classes that are corresponding to the levels. Now, we also have a little pink oval there with the web link. That's for you to take the assessments. I don't know if all of you have taken the assessment for English, ESL, and math. If you have not done the assessment, that's the link that you're gonna go to take that assessment. So you can take the assessment in your own time, so that way you can figure out where your English may be. The assessment is not timed. So we basically ask you to read some essays. We ask you some questions, read some essays, and then see where you can identify your level. And that would be where we would place you for your ESL, okay, or your English. If English is your first language, if you attended high school in the US, if you attended international high school, then you just take the English 1A, because English 1A is for native speakers. If your English is second language, you didn't attend high school in the US, you're not a college student in the US, English is indeed your second language, then take the ESL test. ESL stands for English as a second language. Okay, everyone needs to take the assessment so that we know where to place you. Okay, so this other chart is the math chart. So every student has to take math, and there are two paths to math. One is called the SLAM path. One is called the STEM path. So the top one is SLAM. SLAM is for students who are majoring in arts, liberal arts, or math is not something that's required a lot of by your major. So if you major in arts or music, psychology, something that's not going to require a lot of math, but just one. Everyone has to at least take one math course. And typically for most students, you only need to take one statistics 50, and that's it. If your major does not require a lot of math, or you would take math 15 if you're intending to be a teacher, liberal arts major, or business 14A if you're going to be a business major transferring to a Cal State University. So if you know that your major doesn't require a lot of math, then you just pick one of the choices at the top. The most popular one is the first one, statistics 50. For those of you who are majoring in something like science, technology, engineering, or math, so that's what we call STEM major, you would need to take a lot more math. You would all start with math 3, college algebra, but some of you may be able to get to higher level math. The highest level math you can start off with at PCC is math 5A. That is the first level of calculus. Okay, so if you study math in your country, when you take the assessment test for math, you should be able to score a lot higher. Again, the highest is math 5A calculus. So let's say, for example, your major is engineering. If you have to start out with math 3, then you take math 3, then math 8, then 5A, then 5B, then 5C, and then 55. So these are all the extra math courses an engineering student would have to take. But for some students, like let's say for those of you who want to transfer to UC, you may just need to take up to math 5A, and that's it. Okay. If you want to transfer to USC, I know USC is also a very popular university among international students. It's a private university. Let's say you want to transfer to USC as a business major. You would take either Business 14A and 14B, or you would take Math 5A and 5B. It's basically high-level calculus. Okay. For those of you who are not really sure, you could still make an appointment with us, a virtual appointment, which we're going to give you a link later on, and then we can talk about which math is appropriate. But for the most of you, it's going to be either Statistics 50, the first one, or Math 3. Most of you. If the math level in your country is higher, you've studied higher level pre-calculus or calculus, then you can start off with Math 5A, calculus. And then at the very bottom, you see some additional courses, like for example, Math 3, and then the Math 103 that's listed underneath, right underneath Math 3. That's a supplemental instruction course. It's like tutoring for those students who are not very strong in math. They want to take an additional 0.5 units course so that they could get additional help with math. If you are not interested in taking the additional Math 103 course, you don't have to. You just need to take the Math 3 standalone without the supplemental instruction. Okay. So at PCC, we have courses, we have what we call the course number. So when you look at a course, you should be able to tell whether that course is going to count by the university or not, whether it's going to count towards the associate degree of arts or not. And the way you could tell is by looking at the number. So if the number has 001 to 09, between 001 to 099, that means that particular course is going to count by the university. It's transferable. So for example, let's say you tested into level 4. In this case, level 4 is ESL 33A. It is transferable because 33A, 33 is between 1 through 99. So anything that's between 1 through 99, it means it's going to count towards graduation and transfer. Courses that are 100 or above are not transferable. Those tends to be the lower level courses. So in this case, ESL 122, which is level 3 ESL, it is not transferable. It's not going to count towards the 60 units that's needed to graduate or transfer towards university. Okay, so when you look at the number, let's say I say History 7A. History 7A, 7 is part of one between 1 to 99 that is transferable. So when you look at the number at PCC, the course number, you can tell whether it's transferable or not. There's also something called prerequisites or co-requisite. That is something that you need to pay attention when you register for your classes, because it will tell you whether there's a condition that you have to meet in order to take that course. So prerequisite basically means you must take another course first, or you need to take an assessment first before you can get into this higher level subject. So for example, in order to take Chemistry 1B, you have to first take Chemistry 1A. So the prerequisite to 1B is 1A. Okay. Co-requisite means there are two courses that you have to take the same semester or the same session. They're taken together. So usually it's a lecture and a lab. So in this case, it's not lecture and a lab, but these are a group of classes that we want you to take together the same semester. So Architecture 10A has to be taken together with Architecture 12A. It's a set of classes that you have to take together. They are co-requisite to each other. And you can find the prerequisite or co-requisite on the schedule of classes, which we're going to show you later, so you know where to look for it. So let's say you want to take higher level course and it has a prerequisite. It's going to prevent you from registering until you have met the prerequisites. So at PCC, what can you accomplish here at PCC? So in California, we have a lot of different universities that you can transfer to. We have 10 UCs. We have 23 CSUs. CSU stands for Cal State Universities. And then we have more than 100 private universities. So after you finish PCC, you have the option to transfer to a UC or Cal State or private university, or even another state. Or if you do not want to transfer to a four-year university, you can just get the associate degree from PCC. So basically, associate degree is like half of a bachelor's degree that the community college can offer to students. In terms of associate degrees, you can get your associate degree in arts, such as business or natural sciences. So it's a more area of emphasis. So it's a general major. Whereas with AS degree, associate in science degree, it always comes with a certificate of achievement. It's more for students who are not planning to transfer. So let's say you want to learn a specific skill set, welding or accounting or fashion design, and you don't want to transfer to university, you just want to learn some skill sets specifically so that you can work sooner without transferring, then you would go for the AS degree. So AS degree is more vocational and is more short term. AA degree is for students who are thinking of transfer. Some students get associate degree, AA degree, and transfer, and it is possible to do both. In fact, most of the students who are thinking about transferring, they also can get the AA degree and transfer because the courses that are required for both options are very similar, sometimes exactly the same. So in that way, you could get your associate degree and transfer. So we have also something called transfer associate degree for those students who are specifically interested in transferring to Cal State University. So there are some advantage in getting the associate degree for transfer. That way, if you have that degree, when you transfer to a Cal State University, it's guaranteed that you would finish within 60 units at the university. So for those of you who are thinking, I'm going to transfer to Cal State, I know I want to transfer to Cal State, let's say Cal State LA, and I want to major in business, then you can select the transfer associate degree in business, take all the required courses at PCC, and then when you transfer to the university, they will guarantee that you finish within 60 units. So these are the basic requirements at PCC and different options you have. I just want to paint a general picture at this point. If you don't get everything, that's okay. Right now, you don't have to worry about specifically which one you're interested in. If you have an idea, that's good. But throughout the time that you're at PCC, we will go over these requirements with you again. So we're gonna give you handouts, and then we're gonna talk about different options in detail later on so that you could have a better understanding. For now, this is just a general idea. So in order for you to graduate from PCC or to transfer to university, remember I mentioned earlier, you need to have 60 units. Most of the classes that you take at PCC are 3 units. Okay, so you need to accumulate 60 units. And in order to get a bachelor's degree in the US, you need 120 units. So basically you're finishing half of them at PCC, and then the other half we call the upper division requirements. You finish that at the university. So out of the 60 units that you need at PCC, it's divided into different categories. The first one, which is in red, has to do with general education. So everyone, regardless of what your major is, if you're going to transfer to a university in California, especially UCs and Cal States, the public universities, you would need to take about 40 units in general education. And the general education can be what we call the IGETC. IGETC is basically a general education sheet that you're going to follow to transfer to UC or Cal State University. For CSUGE, it's for those of you who are very sure that you want to transfer to a Cal State University. you follow the CSUGE. For those of you who want to transfer to USC specifically, and you want to target that particular private university, the private universities have their own general education pattern for students to follow. So that's basically out of the 60 units, about 40 units comes from the general education. So 2/3 of your classes at PCC are going to be general classes. Then the other part, the other 20 units comes from your major. So let's say your major is business or accounting or economics. The major required courses comes from the major requirements. And there's a website called assist.org, which allows you to look up courses that are required by your major. Or the PCC website called Transfer Tool that also allow you to look up the same information as to what classes you need to fulfill the major requirements. Now, that should equal to 60 units. But sometimes students pick majors that do not have a lot of major prep requirements. Let's say you pick a geography major. Geography major doesn't have a lot of major required units. Let's say by the time you finish all the major required courses, it's only 9 units. So 40 plus 9 is not equal to 60 yet. In that case, you're gonna take elective. Elective basically are free units of your choice to add up to 60 units. So you have some freedom there to take some fun classes that you might enjoy just to add up to 60 units. But if your major is something like engineering, for example, in that case, you don't need elective. By the time you take all the major required courses and the general education courses, you might end up with 80 units. And that's very typical for students who choose STEM as a major. So when I said 60 units earlier, I mean 60 is the minimum. Some students need to take more than minimum if the major require a lot of major courses. Okay. This is just a basic framework for you to understand. For most students, this would work. For some students, they need to take more than that. Do we have any questions? Let's see. Should we pause here and see if we could entertain some questions, Sujin?
Yes, and before I go ahead and explain the IGETSI paper, we had a question from, rest of them I answered, but yeah, Mejia is asking if there are any financial aid opportunity for international students, and will the tuition be the same as the tuition that we had before? That's the question.
Okay, so for the most part, unfortunately, international students do not qualify for financial aid. So that's why we ask that you have $28,000 per year when you apply. There may be some scholarships available, but those are not common. So although scholarships are available, but very few students get them, we don't have a lot of scholarships. So do prepare to pay it in full. And Rosa, how much do students have to pay now for one semester, 12 units?
It's going to be a little over 4,000 for the 12 units. Mm-hmm.
So about 4,000, a little bit over $4,000 for 12 units.
Thank you for that.
And that includes the insurance, which is something that all of you have to pay. It's about $600 for 6 months. So when you pay for your tuition, the insurance portion is part of it.
Thank you. Bohan is asking if they had taken AP Literature but received a B grade, are they eligible to enroll in English 1A? And they've also attended 2 years of US high school.
That's a very good question. So for those of you who have attended US high school or college in the US, you may have some coursework that you have already taken. And if those are appropriate units, those are the courses that you have taken, they're the same courses that are needed for your major. We can certainly use them. So those are for for students who have AP. So we have a chart at PCC that allow us to look up what credit we will give you. Of course, it has to be a score of 3 or higher on your AP exam, and we can give you credits for that. So you will save some classes. Instead of taking 60 units, you would take less because we can count those AP credits, or we can count courses that you have taken in the college in the US towards that 60 units. For those of you who have units in your country, I know you probably have attended university, some of you have attended college, and that is case by case basis. We have to take a look at your goal. And if your goal is to transfer to university, the university will give you credits. PCC does not give you credits because it's up to the university. But as international counselors, we can give you an idea based on what we have to experience before whether certain courses will get credit with the university later on. And so we would tell you to avoid taking those subjects, and then hopefully you get credits later on. It's given by the university. But for those of you who have credits in your country and your goal is just to graduate from PCC, then PCC gets to decide whether we can give you credits or not. Again, the rule of thumb is if it's the same class, what you took and what you need to take are the same, then you get credit for it. Okay, so we can talk to you about that in the individual appointment. For those of you who have these type of questions, you want us to look at your transcript, you're welcome to meet with us after the meeting today. We give you a link, and then you can click on that link and book an appointment with us.
All right, we have several more questions. Do you want to answer them now, Amy, or save them towards the end?
We can save them because I wanted to make sure that we cover everything, and then
Sure.
we can have some time later on. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, so everyone keep on posting your questions. Rosa is keeping track of them, so if we don't get to your question now, we'll make sure we answer them at the end. And I actually wanted to continue the presentation to show you what iGetsy and the Assist website looks like. So let me switch my screen share to this page right here. So this is just plain old Google website. And I usually just go ahead and type in PCC iGetsy. All right, and then the first one that pop up should be our iGetsy paper. It actually stands for Inter-Segmental General Education Transfer Curriculum. Let me make it bigger. And you can read all the general information on your own. Important information about, the units and the Assist website they refer you to. And it says for you to transfer to UC, it says that you need minimum of 2.4, but for international student, it's a little different. So you need minimum of 2.8. 2.8 is your minimum GPA to transfer to UC. So iGetsy, of course, includes the English communication. So area 1A is your English composition. So you would be taking English 1A ultimately, regardless of your current ESL placement, you will move up eventually to take English 1A. After that, you will be taking your critical thinking. We recently added English 1B, which is super exciting. So you can take that as your critical thinking, or English 1C, or philosophy 25, or physical science 2. Just one of them. And then here's the oral communication. This is only required for Cal State schools. So if you're only interested in the UC system, you do not have to take a class from this area. Area 2 is math. And if you are in a major that requires math already, you don't have to worry about meeting this requirement. But if your major is, film or music, right? A major that does not necessarily require math, you have to have at least one transferable math in order to fulfill the iGetsy. So there's a list of math classes that you could take. Area 3 is arts and humanities, and you need 3 courses from here. One class has to come from the arts area, and although it says it's the art class, it's not going to be a drawing class, or you don't learn how to play an instrument. This is more history of art, appreciation of music type of classes. So you need at least one from here. And then you also need one class from the humanities area. So that's one of each. And remember, you need that third course, and that third course could come from either 3A, the arts, or the 3B, the humanities. So you're going to have 3 classes here. Area 4 is social behavioral sciences, and you actually also need 3 classes in this area as well. But note that those classes, they have to come from at least 2 academic disciplines. So that means that you cannot have all 3 classes in one subject area, right? So for example, let's say you're a history major and you take tons of history classes. Unfortunately, you don't meet this area by only taking history. You have to make sure you're hitting at least one other subject, right, to meet this area. So you can have either 3 different subjects or 2 of the same one with 1 different, that's fine. But just make sure that you're hitting, you know, multiple subjects in this area. Area 5 is your science. So there are 3 areas, 5A, 5B, and 5C, but in reality, you'll only be taking 2 classes. So one is your physical science class, and the other one is your biological science. 5C is just saying, please make sure that one of those classes have a lab component. And we tell you which ones are the lab classes by indicating them with underline. So for example, if you take astronomy 1, that has an underline, meaning that class has a lab. So astronomy 1 will not only fulfill the area 5A, but at the same time, it will fulfill area 5C, right? Because it has a lab component. And once you have a lab course for your other area, so in this case, for your biological science, you don't have to take another lab course for IGETC. So you would just take anthropology 1. That one does not have an underline. So you just take a regular lecture class without the lab. And this could go, you know, the other way around as well. So for example, if you take biology 11 under your biological science with the lab, then for your physical science, you would take something like geography 1, which does not have a lab. All right, area 6 is UC requirement only. So similar to your speech course, if you are only interested in Cal State schools and Cal State schools only, you don't have to fulfill this area because this is for UC. And you know, those of you who went to English speaking high school, and if you have taken 2 or more years of foreign language, you will meet this requirement without taking an additional class. If you have attended middle school or high school at a foreign country, and if your school teachers, right, and students spoke language other than English. So for example, if you went to high school in China and, you know, all the classes were taught in Chinese, as long as you show us proof that you attended your school for 2 or more years and you've passed your courses, then we'll give you credit in this area. If you're not too sure if you meet this particular requirement for area 6, you can meet with us, show us the, you know, copy of your transcript for middle school or high school. We'll take a look at it together and we'll let you know if you qualify for this area. But you know, I've seen plenty of students who went on and took, like, you know, French 2 or Italian 2, thinking that they still have to meet this area, but in reality, they went to high school at a foreign country, so they didn't really have to do that. So please double check with us if you're not sure. Eventually, you will be turning in your transcript. It has to be in English. You'll be turning it into to our admissions and records office. All right, so that is IGETC. And I also want to show you the ASSIST website. So again, you could just Google this, assist.org, and then that's the first one that pop up. So this is what the ASSIST website would look like. This website is only for UCs and Cal State. So this doesn't work for USC. This website doesn't work for, other schools like Pepperdine or NYU, right? So this would only work for UCs and Cal State. So you would start from typing Pasadena City College, and then you can look up, for example, UCLA, and then you hit view agreements, and then you get to search for your major. I know a lot of our international students are interested in business, so I'm going to go ahead and do business economics here. And then you click view agreement. Essentially, this website is called the articulation website, meaning it's a promise. It's an agreement between two schools. So in this case, UCLA and PCC, we got together and we made a promise that as long as you take certain classes at PCC, when you transfer to UCLA, they will make sure that they count those PCC classes toward their major requirement. So you have to make sure you read all of the important major information. I'm going to skip that for now. They have some information about AP exam credit. Every school have, they have their own AP credit rules and regulations. So make sure you look into each individual schools for AP scores if you have them. So as you can see, there's that arrow in the middle. So like, for example, Econ 1B at PCC with the arrow is equivalent to UCLA's Econ 1, right? Econ 1A at PCC is equivalent to Econ 2 at UCLA. If you see that there are no course articulated, that means we do not offer the equivalent course here at PCC, unfortunately. So it's either you don't have to take them. In this case, for UCLA, you don't have to take them. You're going to go to UCLA and take Econ 11 and Econ 41 over there. Some cases, the universities would still ask you to complete these no articulated courses before you transfer. It's very rare, but when in doubt, please book an appointment with us so we can go over that with you. But for UCLA Business Econ, these are their requirements, right? Econ 1B, 1A, Math 5A, 5B, and just one of the English classes. As you can see, it says or, right? 1B or, BH or, 1C. So you just need to choose one from here, and then you take your accounting 1A, 1B. So as long as you have these courses for your major, and you got your IGETC requirements done, and you have your 60 units, you can transfer, right, to UCLA with Business Econ. Alrighty, let me come back to the PowerPoint. Anything you want to add, Amy?
We're good for now.
We're good for now. Alrighty, moving on. Okay, so this is like a sample course description of class schedule. But I want to show you how to get to this particular page. So I thought maybe we could look at it together. Sorry, I'm going back and forth with my screen, but I wanted to be able to show it to you. So when you go to the main website at pasadena.edu, you would click on Academics and Support and go to Schedule of Classes. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have already gone to this particular website, but this is where you look for your class schedule. And then you click on the term that you want. And then you look for a subject. I just click on, anything and I just start typing. For example, let's just go to the same thing, English as a second language. Okay, good. And then I hit enter. And you can see all of the ESL courses that we offer for fall 2020. Right now, everything is open because no one had registered for classes yet. But as time goes on, you're going to see status being changed, right? If it says open, perfect. There's seats for you. You can go ahead and register. If it says wait list, then that means the class is full, but the professor is still willing to accept some students under the wait list. So you would put yourself on the wait list and wait until someone drops, from the class. Then what would happen is, let's say you're number 1 on the wait list, then PCC will automatically send you an email when someone drops from the class saying, hey, you're next on the wait list. There's a spot available for you. Come on, Lancer Point, log in and claim your spot. From that point that you get that email from your PCC email address, you're going to have 48 hours to respond and come back to Lancer Point and claim that seat, right? After 48 hours is over, the seat goes to the next person on the wait list. So it's essential that you, respond to that email and make sure you get that spot as soon as possible. So that's wait list.
Just to also remind everyone, when we say we email you, we email it to you to your PCC email address.
Yes. So it's not going to go to your Gmail or Yahoo, right? So make sure you check your PCC email. Sometimes the status would say closed. Closed means the class is full, waitlist is full, and there's really no way that you could officially, put this class on your part of your registered classes at that point. So if that happens, and if you still really, really want that class, what you can do is you could email the instructor. So you would just, copy their name, for example, CJ Johnson, copy, go to the main website, search, paste their name, and you click search directory. Oh, but CJ Johnson is not available for some reason. Let's try Nancy Rudson. Sorry, I don't know why. Nancy. So when you search the professor's first and last name, usually their phone number and email pop up. Right now, I wouldn't call them because, they're probably not present. They're probably working from home. So I would definitely email them and ask, hey, I really want your class. Your class is closed. Can I please get an add code? And what professors do is they would give you a code. It's probably like, I don't know how many digits, but it's probably like numbers that you can type in on your Lancer Point when you try to register for a closed class. Then you have to have this number, right, to be able to do so. So that's how you get into a closed class. We call this crashing, right? Crashing. So you can crash a closed course. And then you see.
I just want to interject here. The good news for international students is you most likely don't have this problem. Most likely you wouldn't have to worry about closed class because you all have very early registration date. And so by the time your registration date is here, most of these classes are still opened. If you take advantage of the priority registration that we give you, you wouldn't have to worry about closed classes. You have very early registration date.
Yes, for sure. You're very lucky. Not many schools offer early registration for international students, but PCC does. So I'm excited for that. All right, and then these are the type of classes. So this is a clickable link. If you click on it, it'll show, what type of class this is. So OD, for example, is, fully online. So this particular course would be, online classes. Every single class that you can find under our class schedule will have their unique course reference number. So we call this CRN. This number is actually also a clickable link. So if you click on the CRN number, you're going to be able to see all the important information about this class. If you scroll down all the way to the bottom, it shows you when is the last day to add this class, last day to drop this class with your refund, which is, one of the most significant date that you should really remember. And then it shows when is the last day to drop without AW, as if you've never really taken this class. It won't even show on your transcript if you drop before this deadline. And also the last day to drop with a W. And remember, as an international student, you won't be able to drop classes on your own if you're going below 12 units. If you want to drop a course, you must have to first talk to a counselor. That's super, super important because we want to make sure that you're in status. Okay. And then there's the number of units. ESL and English classes are 4 units each. and 4 units is equivalent to 4 hours of class time per week. And that's for fall and spring semesters. For summer and winter, it gets much, it's faster pace, so it's many, many more hours. But for fall, 4 units would mean 4 hours of class per week, plus 8 hours of classwork per week. We expect students to do work outside of class, right? Reading and writing essays and studying for your exams, etc. So if you're taking 12 units, it's considered full-time. You're expecting about 36 hours of class time plus work outside of class, right? So it's almost having a full-time job. So it is a big commitment, just FYI. And then it just shows Meet. Also, this is a clickable link and you can see what type of lectures there are. Again, mostly we have online lectures now. Meeting time, if you see something like this, 5.6 hours per work plus homework with online location, that means this particular class does not have a specific class meeting time. However, if you see something like this, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. to 3:30 p.m., what this means is that even though the location is online, the professor will expect you to be available during that time. And this is, our time, LA local time, Pacific Standard. So if you are abroad taking this class, you might have to wake up in the middle of the night, right, to join the lecture. So just be careful with that. So as you probably know, M stands for Monday, T Tuesday, W Wednesday, TH Thursday. You're going to see F for Friday. You might even see S for Saturday or SU for Sunday. Very rare, but there are those classes with different time schedule. Most of classes are online. This particular class is capped at 25 students. Right now, no one had registered. Therefore, there are 25 remaining seats. Okay, and there's your instructor name, the duration of the class, the dates, and then the weeks. And you really have to be careful because everything might be the same up until the instructor point. Some classes are offered for only 8 weeks. Some are in the first 8 weeks. Some are in the late 8 weeks. So just be careful when you choose your classes. Make sure if you want full 16-week course, go for those. If you want a short-term class, make sure that you're aware of that.
And just want to emphasize to everyone, majority of the classes, more than 90% of the classes that you will take in the fall semester will be online. So there are 2 versions of online. Online, your own time, as Sujin just explained, or online real time.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I want to show you an example of a class that has an actual physical meeting time with an actual location. For example, I noticed our microbiology courses for fall actually have a lab that meets on campus. So as you can see now, the type is no longer online, it's hybrid, right? It's half online, half on ground. So if you're one of the students who need to take a microbiome course, then you have to make sure that you will be available physically to come on campus. SV stands for Science Village. It's one of our bungalows. On Mondays, Wednesdays, for example, for this class, from August 31st until September 28th. So the professor will expect you to be present here in the US, right, on campus at PCC during this time. So if you're taking something that has a physical location that's other than online, just be careful because you just got to be here present. So if you're planning on taking certain classes from home, then maybe save the ones that require physical presence for next semester.
Most of the ones that require physical presence coming to PCC, those are the science courses. So if you don't want to be on campus, avoid taking science courses in your first semester.
Yeah.
Some science courses are 100% online. some are requiring that you be here in person.
Yeah, and I saw some like art classes, like ceramics type of classes that are also on ground. So just, be careful when you go through your schedule of classes. So let me come back here.
Can you explain the prerequisites?
Sure, yeah.
So
So
find it.
yes, and as you can see, now we're back to my little screenshot here, but so the schedule of class not only shows the course name and what it's called, but it also shows you the prerequisite if they have any. If you don't see that word, then you don't have to worry about it. There are no prerequisites. But in this case, for ESL 33B, you have to take ESL 33A in order to go up to 33B. Or if you place into this level directly, then of course you can take this class, 33B. But remember, when there is a prerequisite course like this, and if you don't have that prerequisite, then you won't be able to register. So just, be aware. And also, like Amy talked about, ESL 33B, right? 33 is between 1 and 99. So as you can see, it's indicated that this course is indeed transferable. Not all transferable course would transfer to UC. So just make sure, if you're a UC bound student, to find this wording right here, transfer credit to UC, right? As well as CSU. Okay, moving on. So, and Amy had already talked about this, but Counseling 10 or College 1 is required for you to join Pathways. You don't have to take it in the fall, but if you want to maintain your Pathways status, make sure you take them either in the fall or in the spring, right? So in your first year. All right, so we gave you a little link here. It's bit.ly PCC International Counseling. If you go to this website, like even now, if you go there, but don't do it now, but you'll be able to book appointments to meet with international counselors. Physically, when we come back on campus, hopefully soon, then you would go to D Building 204 or LB Building 104 to meet with counselors. But for now, there's nobody on campus. So please book your appointment online and we'll meet you virtually, or we could talk on the phone with you. And we highly recommend, especially if you know for sure, what your major is and what schools you want to transfer to meet with a counselor to develop a plan. We call this education plans, or ed plan in short. So your ed plan would look something like this, right? So in the fall, it's a long semester, so we recommend you to take your ESL or English class, your math course, College 1 if you're joining Pathways, as well as your GE or your major class. Winter is a short term, so we recommend you to take no more than 2 classes, so maybe a GE and a major course. Spring, continue with your English or ESL. If you are a STEM major, then you continue with your math, and then of course you take your GE and major course. Summer would look very similar to winter. So as you can see, we don't recommend you to take all of your major classes in one semester and then take all of your GEs in the next. We recommend you to balance, right, your courses. And as we sit down together and talk about what would be a good plan for you, then we could talk about your comfort level. Are you comfortable taking classes in the winter? Do you feel comfortable taking, 4 classes versus 5, right? So there's no one size, fits all type of ed plan. It really depends on, who you are and what your educational background is, so on and so forth. So highly, highly recommend you to meet with us virtually.
Can you go back, Susan?
Sure. Yeah.
I just wanted to remind everyone, go ahead and take a screenshot of this particular screen so you have a better idea what the first year schedule looked like. And that is the link to make appointment with us. And I just type in the link in the chat box. So go
Thank
ahead
you.
and cut and paste what's in the chat box to save that. So that's how you can make appointment with us. When Sujin mentioned earlier, you can make an appointment with us either virtually or by phone. For those of you who are in the US, we will be able to call you by phone. For those of you who are in your country, the only way we could meet with you would be online. So it would be virtual counseling. So for example, let's say you book an appointment with us at 9 o'clock. Remember, that's California time. So at 9 o'clock, when you book it online in your country, we also reply to you with an email after you book the appointment with the instructions on how to click on that link to meet with us. Similar to how you meet with us this time, except that it's one-on-one. So let's say you book appointment at 9 o'clock, and at 9 o'clock, you're gonna click on the link that we gave you, and then you're gonna meet with us online. And then you could share with us the transcripts, the live version, or when we meet, I'm gonna ask you to email me the transcript so I can look at it with you and then talk to you about what I think we could use from your country or from the US. And if you need to further, for us to further answer additional questions, we can do that. So this link is very important. So remember, save it. That is how you connect with us. Some of you might just try clicking on this link and try to book it right now. It might not be available yet because I just told our staff member to open it a little bit later because I know we are anticipating some of you want to book appointment with us. So I saved it, saved the appointment so that it will be open later on. So if you open it, click on that link and try it now and there's no appointments available, it's okay. Try a little bit later again. It will be opened. It's quite early right now, so I don't think the staff member in the accounting office has opened up appointments yet. Mm-hmm. So keep trying. I am aware that all of you here are interested in meeting with us. You don't have to, remember, you don't have to meet with us individually. You only meet with us if you have additional questions. Okay, so that link will work later today.
All right, awesome. Thank you for that. Okay, so first week survival tips. So we had originally created this, or Amy had created it, you know, to help you for your first week, you know, when you first start at PCC, and some of it pertains to, you know, our usual on-ground classes. So as you can see here for parking, right now there's, you know, no parking. You don't have to drive to campus, but you know, maybe next year, you know, for spring, next year fall, if we go back to the usual on-ground mode, the first week parking gets pretty crazy. It gets really jam-packed. It takes students to find parking, would you say, Amy, for like 2 hours? Yeah, I've seen plenty of students going to class late because they just couldn't find parking. So it becomes problematic because if you don't show up on time, what happens is your instructor would call your name, and if you're not present, you might get dropped from the class. And there are plenty of people waiting to, you know, get your spot, and your seat might be given to someone else. So please arrive early on campus when we go back to our usual on-ground modality. And then you need to buy or rent books. You don't have to buy the books from the PCC online bookstore. You could utilize other websites such as half.com, eBay, Amazon, or check.com. And some of these websites would give you an option to rent the books for the semester and then return it back to them for like half of the price. Books can get pretty expensive here in the US. So if you want to rent the books, that's fine. If you don't, you know, want to keep the book, or you could buy it used, which would be much more affordable than buying a new book.
Sujin, could you show them the zero textbook option if they choose to?
Sure. Let me see if I can find a course that has that. Maybe English. So, okay, there we go. Let me share this screen with you again. It's the same class schedule page that we were looking at for English 1A, for example. Underneath classes, sometimes you will see little notes like this. And one of the notes would say 0 textbook cost option. I know it's really small. I don't know if you can read it. But certain classes will offer you 0 textbook option. This means that you will spend $0 on textbook. Everything will be available to you online, usually as a PDF version, so you can read it on your computer. It'll be provided by your instructor. So we made sure that, you know, college would be more affordable for those who have, you know, financial struggle. So we created these 0 textbook option. So if you don't want to buy any books and you want to, and if you feel comfortable reading books online, right, on your computers, then you can definitely go for this 0 textbook courses.
Yeah, typically each course you have at least one book, 1 to 2 books, and each book is about $60 to $100.
Mm-hmm. So Jen, can you go back to the schedule and show them the restricted notation for one of those classes?
Yes. So some classes, as you can see, are restricted to a particular student population. Dual enrollment means, you know, high school students in the US, athletes, veterans, right? And it's also notated here at the bottom. So even if it doesn't say restricted, sometimes it's, you know, closed for, you know, honors students or certain population. So then in this case, as international student, you won't be able to participate in these restricted courses. Like unless you're part of the athletes program or something like that, right? So don't go for the restricted ones, always go for just the regular open ones. You know, if you have questions about joining the restricted, you know, programs, things like that, you could talk to one of us and we'll help you with that. But other than that, no restricted courses. All right. Waitlist policies, we've already talked about this. So, you know, just make sure if you are on the wait list, look for that email to your PCC email account. So you could, you know, potentially add this course. If you don't hear anything from us until the very first day of class, that's okay. Still, you can still be listed under the waitlist and you would have to email the professor and say, hey, hello, I'm part of, you know, your wait list. Are you adding any students? You know, could you give me an ad code? So please reach out to the professor on the first day or, you know, maybe a week before even the class start, so you'll get an idea. If the instructor says like, you know, maybe wait a little bit to see if someone drops, and if you're willing to wait, you know, you could wait for that class to open, but don't ever risk your status. So if you're under 12 units, maybe, you know, have a good backup course that you could, you know, make sure that you have that seat available. So later when you get an ad code for the class that you desire, maybe you can switch those 2 classes. But, you know, waitlist is an option, so please utilize that function. Cell phone, you know, if you're in a regular classroom, it's just, you know, a courtesy, right? You don't use cell phones, you don't text and call, you don't go on your laptop, you know, play games. It's just, you know, it's a policy that you would have to abide by. So a lot of your classes are now going to be online. So the professors, especially for the scheduled courses, they'll expect the same level of respect from you. So, you know, I'm actually taking a class right now at PCC, and I see, you know, students like going on their phones when the teacher is, you know, talking, things like that. It's just not acceptable, right? So just be, you know, respectful, courteous to your teachers and your fellow classmates, even if it's online. And then there's an important note for all fall 2020 classes. So,
So Jen,
go ahead.
switch back to the PowerPoint.
Oh, shoot, sorry. All right. There we go. Sorry, I have two screens, so I'm like, okay, thank you, Amy, for that. Okay, so important note again for fall 2020 classes, you are expected to log into Canvas and perform a check-in assignment. So this has to be done no later than 11:30 p.m. on Wednesday, August 26th. And this is so essential because if you don't perform this check-in assignment, then you will be dropped from the class. So this is an indication for your teachers to know that you are interested in taking this course, right? So please log into Canvas, on your first day of class, and you'll have about 2 days, right, to complete this assignment. And then, the teacher will make sure that they'll keep you in the class.
Can you show them how to access Canvas?
Sure. Yes. Okay. All right, so let's go to my other screen here. So this is, again, the main PCC website. You click on the green login button. Instead of Lancer Point, you're going to go to Canvas, right? And you log in, it's same thing. Same as your Lancer Point username and password, you log in, and then you'll be able to see the classes that you have registered for that semester. And you go in there and you'll be able to see what the course requirements are or the check-in assignment is. Okay. Alrighty. And please post your questions on the chat. I'll answer them or we'll answer them when we are done with the presentation. All right, so to the fun part. So we're gonna talk about your registration and what classes to register for. But before that, let's talk about your next steps. Online orientation, that's the website, orientation.pasadena.edu. If you haven't completed this step already, please do so as soon as possible, because if you don't complete this step, you don't get priority registration. This is so essential. So, I know you have a lot of to-dos on your checklist, but online orientation definitely you should complete as soon as possible. International Student Welcome page.
You take a screenshot of this particular screen so you remind yourself what the next steps are. Take a picture, please.
There we go. Take a screenshot or, use your phones. And the next one is International Student Welcome. So not all of you will be required to go through this Canvas shell. We have sent you a separate link inviting you to join the International Student Welcome if it is required for you. So if you haven't received any information on this particular welcome page, then you don't have to worry about it. Rosa, correct me if I'm wrong, but this, I believe, is for students who will be physically present here in the US. Yeah, so if you're taking classes overseas, then, you don't have to submit, all those like immigration documents. So that's why you haven't received the invitation. And also you can attend JAM, and also you have to take 12 units in the fall if you want to join the Pathways program. And I believe you've been getting emails from our Pathways representatives. So please, if you're interested, go ahead and join the JAM and make sure you have 12 units in the fall. As an international student, your registration date is July 6th by default, if you do the online orientation and all of that. But if you join Pathways, your registration date will be July 1st or 2nd. So there's definitely that advantage. So please consider joining Pathways. And I can later post the link to JAM, but I don't know if you can see it. But there's a website. And I'm pretty sure you've been getting emails for that link as well, but we'll make sure that we post that at the end of the presentation, the link to get to the JAM website. Also, and I noticed that there was a question about this in the chat as well, but please make sure you pay for your classes no later than the Friday before the classes start. So for this upcoming fall, it's going to be August 21st. That's the Friday before the semester begins. If you don't make your payment, there will be a hold on your account eventually, and you won't be able to add or drop courses. Your account is basically like, it's going to be locked. So that's not very good, right? Especially like if you need to drop classes before your refund deadline and add more classes for your status, things like that. So please make sure you make that payment no later than August 21st.
And
we
the
talked
way
about
and the
Go
way you
ahead.
pay for the class will be online with credit cards.
Yes, and I'll show you in a little bit which link to click to make that payment. Books. So you could definitely go to our online bookstore to purchase the books again, or you could go to other websites as well. There are other options. Parking permit right now, unless you have one of those classes that meet on ground, you don't have to buy parking permit for this term, but eventually if you're planning on having a car here at PCC and travel to campus, then you can buy a parking permit either at our police services in the B building, or you can buy it online on your Lancer Point. You won't be able to get your student IDs yet, unfortunately, right? Because you're not going to be on campus again. But when we come back on campus, you'll be able to get your student ID card in the CC building on the first floor. Okay. All right. So we've been sending some information, I believe, to you about what courses to register for, but like Amy and myself, we talked about, you want to take that English or ESL course in your first semester. Very much recommended. If you don't know your placement, please go to the Directed Self-Placement website. And this is not only good for your ESL, but it also has your math placement function as well. So please go to that website, or you can, put it in under your bookmark and then visit later.
I just type it in the chat box. So
Thank you.
If you could cut and paste the link in the chat box, that's the link that you're going to use to take the placement exam. Everyone needs to do that. Otherwise, you won't have priority registration. So it's important.
Thank you. Yes, so please do so as soon as possible. And you will be able to know what your English or ESL level is, as well as your math level. And we already talked about this, but if you're one of the STEM majors, science, technology, engineering, or math, or business major transferring to UC or USC, definitely start with Math 3. Unless you get, a higher placement, then you can start at a higher math level. If you are SLAM major or liberal arts, health sciences, social sciences, or if you're a business major for Cal State schools, you can start with Statistics 50. College One is, very much recommended, especially if you want to join the Pathways program. This course is designed for first-time college students. So you're going to learn a lot about, what's expected of you in terms of doing research, college level writing, things like that. And you'll also learn the resources available on campus for you. And then last but not least, you can take a GE course. We have recommended some classes here for you. So again, you can take a screenshot or take a picture of the list. These classes can be found under iGETSI, the GE pattern that we reviewed. So these classes are good for UCs, Cal States, associate's degree, etc. Okay. Again, if you are planning on physically being here in the US, make sure you have 12 units for fall. If you're taking these classes from your home country, then we recommend maybe taking 2 classes, maybe 3 maximum, just because of the time difference. Again, if you have other obligations, like if you're working, from your home, or if you have other family obligations, then, maybe it's difficult for you to take that full-time classes. So if you have questions about that, please meet with us and we'll be happy to answer any questions. All right.
Someone asked in the chat box whether if they're
Yes.
in the country, can they take more than 2 classes? The answer is yes, but we recommend 2 because we know how difficult it is to take classes remotely without any additional support in the US. But if you feel like you can and you're up for it, you can take more than 2.
Yes. Yes. So it depends on your comfort level. Yeah. Well, we trust you to make a wise decision for yourselves. Alrighty. So this would be a sample course schedule for, as an example. So this particular student, they made sure they wrote down all of their CRN numbers, right? They're ready to go, ready to register for classes. They know exactly what classes they want. They know their placement. So they're taking ESL 33A. It's offered online. College 1, online, statistics. They chose the scheduled class because they want to know, they want that face-to-face learning experience with the professor. So they chose this option. And then they're going to choose a GE or a major course online as well. So in total, they're taking 14 units, which is very acceptable for your first semester. So this would be a very typical fall schedule for a lot of you. All right, and we're gonna actually watch a little video. Amy or Rosa, could you please interrupt me if you can't hear the sound? Because sometimes, you can't hear the sound when I play a video.
Do you maximize your volume in your laptop?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to make it loud. So if you're wearing earphones, maybe kind of like, adjust it a little bit. So this video will show you how to register for your classes using the CRNs. So they're going to assume that you already know what classes you want and you already have the CRN handy. Okay, but we'll show you how it would look like on your Lancer points. All right, here we go.
I don't hear sound.
You don't hear it?
Yeah.
Okay, so then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna talk over the video. Yeah, I was afraid that that might happen. Okay, so this is how you register for classes using the CRN number. So you go to your Lancer point, you click on My Classes and Academics. You scroll down and then you click on Add Drop Classes. And then you select the term that you want. In this case, it's going to be Fall 2020. When you first click on that, you're going to see a pre-registration survey. So you click on the link and you can answer these questions. There's no right or wrong answers. They just want to know, if you're in need of any help, right, or assistance. And then, so you click submit, right? On this page, you scroll at to the bottom of the page, you start entering your CRN numbers. You can enter multiple CRNs. So if you already know all of your courses, just type them all out and then click submit changes. Once you click that, you're going to be able to see whether you've enrolled in the classes successfully or not. But you can also go to view my schedule to check whether you have successfully added the classes. And like I said, this is actually where you could click. You see at the bottom of the page, pay your fees in red. So after you register for your classes, you would click on that link and then the website will prompt you to go to a separate website to enter your credit card number so you can pay your fees online.
I also recommend students to contact their banks because sometimes, since it's a large amount, the transaction may not go through when you submit your payments. So you may want to give a heads up to your bank that you're making a large purchase per se, or you may have to do 2 separate payments.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah, especially if it's a transaction that's happening overseas, your bank might be like super alert, right? So please make sure that this transaction will go through smoothly.
Yeah, check your credit card just to make sure that it goes through after you
Yes.
pay.
All right, awesome. So I think that concludes our presentation. Anything else to add, Amy or Rosa? If not, we can move
you
on to the
show them
questions.
where they can find the placement results?
Where they can find the placement results. All right, let's see if I could go to my my Lancer point. Okay, so I'm gonna try to log in as myself. Lancer point.
And then after this, Sujin, if you could show them the international website where they could view this again.
Yes, yes. All right. So this is my Lancer point. I have more menus than most of you because I work here, but you'll definitely see my classes and academics menu. And then you scroll down. Where's the?
On the upper right, view
On the
placement.
right.
Registration tools. Yeah. You click on view placement results. And actually, I didn't really take any ESL or, math placement. So by default, I'm placed onto the college level SLAM math level, right? So statistics 50, math 15, etc. And I think that's it. That's my placement. But this is where you will see if you are placed into ESL 33A or 33B or English 1A or Math 3, things like that. So this is where you will see your placements. All right, and please note that your English, Math, and Chem placement is valid for 3 years. So let's say you're placed into a math course now, it's good for 3 years, so you don't have to do it over and over again for your next terms.
Sujin, a question related to assessment.
Yes.
It says, I took my self-directed placement and they sorted me into Math A. However, when I check my placement again, it says I wasn't recommended for Math A. How do they solve that? Do they need to meet you?
Yes. So if you are placed in a certain math level and if that's not a recommended math course for your major, I don't know if I'm understanding the question correctly, you don't have to take that math. So the placement is the highest math that you can take. However, if you don't have to take, for example, math 8, which is our pre-calculus, I mean, if your major is, non-STEM major, you don't have to take math 8, right? So you can take anything below. That's no problem. If you want to go higher than that, then you want to meet with us and we'll help you to get to a higher level math if possible. Okay.
When you do meet with us, we want to see some type of proof. So in order for us to bump you up, we want to see some type of proof that you have done the similar work before, so that we know that when we place you into a higher level, that you are indeed able to do well in that class. So we just need to have you provide some type of proof for us when you meet with us.
Yes.
Can you show them the international student website?
Oh, yes. All right. So this information, you could also obtain it through our international website. So you would go to Admissions and Aid International Students. That's who you are. And then you click on Students. You are our newly admitted students. So you click there, and then you can click on Register for classes. Okay. So we gave you link to, all of the different steps that you have to take, and you can learn here how to activate your Lancer point, that chart that we shared with you, what classes are recommended, and and then understanding your schedule of classes, how to check your registration time to make sure that you have the earliest registration date possible, and how to register for your classes. Okay, so this would be a good.
This is contact pathways about the jam.
Mm-hmm.
At the top, pathway jam.
Oh, yes. Yes, yes. So this is what the website looks like. And again, I'll post the link. But after you enter in your information and your major group, you are to choose a jam session. So I think the July ones are gone now. So you could choose any of the August schedule. It's a 3-day extended orientation. It's all online. And there are plenty of seats available. So please go ahead and sign up for a jam session.
So just to recap, we know we cover a lot today. It's a lot of information, and you may not remember everything we told you. So the best way to do this is to go back to the International Student Center website, and everything we told you today, you can find it in writing and also in a video. So you could read it again so that you could take notes and then remember what you need to do next.
All right, so I just posted the website for JAM. Whoops, I think I sent it to someone privately. But Rosa, do you want to read off the questions that's been accumulated?
Okay, so regarding tuition, I think we already covered. Tuition is due on the Friday before the semester starts. So August 21st.
Yes.
And you pay online like Sujin mentioned. I think you guys already answered the transcript question, but for students who have been in the US for 2 years and they have transcript, are you going to be scheduling appointments individually with them to review over transcripts and clear them for the proper English?
Yeah, they need to make the appointment with us. So we gave you the international counseling appointment link. That is the link that you can make appointment with us.
Okay. I have attended another community college for a year. I have taken some transferable English and math courses. Well, I have to take those classes again.
No, we will place you to the next level after you show us proof. So those will require appointments, yes.
I have taken the ESL placement and have already received an email, but how do I know what level it is?
On
So
your
go to Lancer Point, click on classes and academics. On the right-hand side, you're gonna see view my placement results.
As of now, the U.S. consulate in my home country is not allowing me to have a visa online appointment at this time. At the worst case, I may need to take the course remotely from my home country. May I recall, do I need to take 6 units for the first semester instead of 12? I'll take this and then you guys can add up. So if you're not coming into the US due to visa delays or not being able to obtain an F1 visa, you are welcome to stay in your country and take classes online. As the counselors recommend, it's only 6 units, but you can take more if you feel more comfortable taking more classes. We do ask you that you email our office and let us know to defer your I-20 to the spring semester. Your I-20 will not be active. Therefore, you can take as many online classes as you want. You don't necessarily have to take 12 units.
I just put in the chat box, Rosa mentioned the email, the International Student Center. And I just put in the chat box the email link to email to Rosa if you're not able to come in person. So info@pasadena.edu is the international student email address.
And make sure you email us and let us know that you're not able to enter the US because we have to defer your I-20. If we already issued the I-20 and you pay the CVS fee, you don't want to pay again. So we want to make sure we defer the same I-20 numbers so that when you're ready to apply for your F1 visa and enter the US, then you can use the same I-20. That way you don't have to pay twice because you pay for the I-20 issued to you.
Nice. And there was a private message. What time is the jam? I don't know if you ladies know anything about what time the jam would be.
I don't have
noticed
the exact
online,
time,
but
but it's usually from 8 to 4 around that time. So around 8 to 4, and it's via Zoom. You just need to be available via Zoom for 3 days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say make yourself available the entire 3 days because jam, it could be a little bit lengthy.
Just a little bit more about JAM. So basically, JAM is an extended orientation. It's not just for international students, it's for all new students coming to PCC. So you have a chance to learn about what the college expects of new students, all the different resources that are available to you. They talk a little bit about professors' expectations, how to do research, and you have a lot of opportunity to break out into smaller groups to make some friends. And so if you're going to be home anyway, you're not doing other things, it's a good investment of your time to attend the jam so that you have a head start. And most importantly, you will have an earlier registration date. International students already have early registration date, which is July 6th. But if you join the jam, your registration date is going to move up to either July 1st or July 2nd. For the most part, it's July 1st. So it's moved up by 4 to 5 days. It makes a difference in how soon you can register. And so it's really a win-win. It's a great benefit to all new students, and international students are able to join the jam. So please click on that link. If you don't know, we gave you so many links and you might not capture all of them. Go back to the International Student Center website. All the links are there. The step-by-step instructions are there.
one more question.
Mhm.
Do we have to meet the ESL and math in the first semester? I'm assuming they're asking if they have to take math and ESL in the first semester.
You have to take ESL or English in the first semester, but math, you don't have to. If you feel like, oh, you know, I don't really know what my major is yet. I don't know whether it's going to be a SLAM path or a STEM path. I'm just not sure, and I don't want to take math in my first semester. You don't have to. You just have to take ESL or English in the first semester. Same with Counseling 10 or College 1, which are the introduction to college classes. You can take it the first semester or second semester. The only one thing that we need for you to do is ESL or English in the first semester as part of the 12 units if you're going to be in the US. If you're not going to be in the US, if you're studying in your country and you don't feel like taking ESL or English or math, you don't have to. You have a lot more freedom if you're not officially an F1 student yet.
All right.
Another
And
question,
oh, go ahead. Mhm.
can I take more than 12 units? I think we already covered.
Yes, you can, but we don't recommend more than 15 because we want to ensure that you do really well. And taking classes online is quite an adjustment. Even for the professors, some of these professors have never taught online. And so it's an adjustment for everybody. It's a lot of reading. It's a lot of work. So our best advice is stay between 12 to 15 units.
I actually got a question in a private chat. She's asking, do I choose my classes every semester or do I choose my classes for the whole year up front? So you can plan for your classes for a year or 2 years, no problem. But when you register for your classes, it's only for the upcoming term. So right now you're only registering for fall. You know, sometime during the fall, you'll only be able to register for winter, right? So on and so forth. So you plan on taking classes in the future. You plan on, you plan what classes to take. But on the date of registration, you're only registering for one term, the upcoming one.
So a question about I-20, when does it expire? PCC issues I-20s for 3 years. So if you're starting in the fall, we have issued the I-20 for 3 years. But remember, if you're not gonna enter the US because of visa issues or travel bans in some of the countries, when you let us know you wanna defer the I-20 for spring, we will start the 3 years and it will be starting in spring 2021. So if you receive your I-20, you'll notice they have a program start date and end date, and it's valid for 3 years. So you're always gonna be making sure you check those dates on your I-20. The other question, I don't know if you ladies know, I can log in into Lancer Point, but I cannot log in into Canvas.
Yeah, I've had students have that situation, and that's probably because you're not registered for any of the classes yet. And plus, your teachers have not made the Canvas shell public yet because the term hasn't started. So if you cannot log into Canvas maybe a week or 2 weeks before the semester begins, then you have to reach out to the IT department to make sure that you can log into Canvas. But right now, if you cannot log into Canvas, you don't necessarily have to worry. And that's probably because, again, you're not a continuing student and you're a new student.
Do you have to take English, or are there any exceptions?
Everyone needs to take English, no exceptions. Even American students have to take English.
Yes, but if you've already taken English somewhere else at a different school, meet with us and we'll make sure, to see if that one counts or not. But if you've never taken college level English, then you need it for transfer and to graduate.
So we're talking about English 1A. Some of you don't need to take ESL classes, right? But everyone needs to take at least English 1A, either from another college in the US or at PCC.
How do we get our PCC email address or make sure it's active? When you activate your Lancer Point account is when you're gonna create your email address is activated, and you'll see it on the right-hand side of your account. That's gonna be your email address.
Can you show them, Sujin, how they can access the email address or
Sure.
access
Yeah.
the email?
Yes. So when you go to your Lancer Point, you go to the main homepage, you'll be able to see the email show up.
And then on the left-hand side, if you can click on the PCC email, so that's how you could start typing in and your email address.
Correct. Yeah, you can click on this and there should be a pop-up that takes you to the Gmail. It says Gmail, but this is your PCC email.
And then on the upper right-hand corner, that's their email address. Can you show them there?
Right here.
That's
Yes.
your email address.
Yes.
And we recommend that you get familiar with that email address, because you're gonna start getting a lot of emails from our office, and your teachers may be sending you the emails only to the PCC email address. It's the official form of communication. So get used to using your PCC email address.
Yes.
Okay, so any other questions?
I think that covers all the questions.
Okay, so that would conclude our meeting with you this time. This session is recorded, so we're gonna put it on the website later on. The international counseling appointment link, I just checked, it's not activated yet. So I'm still reserving those spots for you. So later today, you can check again to book the appointment. And it's first come, first serve. So make sure you do it today. Otherwise, other students will take up those space. And we don't have too many appointments, so make sure you do it today if you have questions and you want to meet with us individually. So thank you, everyone. We'd love to meet with you in person, but for now, The way to get a hold of us is by appointment or by emailing the International Student Center. Remember, iso@pasadena.edu, or book appointment with us. So there's way to meet with us. There's way to communicate with us. There's still more ways you can still ask us questions. So we look forward to helping you and to get to know you. And we'll be spending time with you for the next 2 or 3 years of your time at PCC. So we look forward to meeting with you in person soon. And for now, thank you for joining, and thank you everyone, and goodbye.
Thank you,
you.
everybody.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm gonna stop the recording now.
Thank you.
Yes.